When sharing the gospel with others in different cultural settings, how do we know what is the unchangeable elements of the gospel that should never change? That's an important question. I think certainly we recognize in the writings of the Apostle Paul that our audience and our context matters in proclaiming the gospel. But no matter where we are, we should make sure that we're rooted in the basic foundations of the truth, and that is in our historic belief in the life, death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and the meaning of His death for us in our Christian experience. On that foundation, on that basis, then, we need to be sensitive to the time and place of where we preach the gospel. I think we recognize this in Paul's writing, as Paul, the great pastor of pastors, as I like to call him. He was sensitive enough to recognize that he needed to look for different illustrations of the gospel in the culture around him. For example, Paul will use the metaphor of adoption later in Galatians chapter 5 to talk about how God brings us into His family. That'd be a metaphor that secular people could identify with. We also know that Paul can use other metaphors like justification or redemption. The word redemption comes from a word in Greek society that referred to redeeming or buying back a slave and giving them their freedom. Justification is the law court terminology that Paul uses to refer to how Christ, our judge, can pronounce us not guilty by the grace of His Son. So as we seek to spread the gospel to others, we need to make sure we don't get stuck in a straitjacket of sorts and only explain it one way. We need to look for elements in society that our audience can identify with so they can better understand the fullness of the good news of salvation that we have in Jesus Christ.